All right. Get a list of colleagues. Okay, let's begin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Campbell, the District 4 City Councilor. I am also the chair of the Boston City Council's Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice. I believe we are joined by Councilor Asabi George, Councilor Flynn. I think that is it for now. And of course, folks from the administration of the department. I want to remind folks that this is a public hearing. It is being recorded and will be rebroadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, Fios Channel 964. It's being live streamed at boston.gov/citycounciltv. We will take public testimony at the end of this hearing. If you wish to testify via video conference, please email Ron Cobb at ron.cobb, C-O-B-B, at boston.gov to sign up. When you are called, please state your name, your affiliation, and limit your comments to 2 minutes if you want to participate in public testimony at the end of this hearing. You may also submit written testimony by emailing ccc.ps@boston.gov. Today's hearing is on 2 dockets. The first is docket number 0631, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $1,750,000 in the form of a grant for the FY21 BFD State Training Program awarded by the Massachusetts Department of Fire Services to be administered by the Boston Fire Department. The second docket is docket 0473, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $330,000 in the form of a grant for the FY21 State Traffic Safety Information System Improvements Grant awarded by the U.S. Department of Transportation, passed through the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety, and to be administered by the Police Department. From the Fire Department, we have Kathleen Judge. And from the Police Department, I believe we have Sheila Smith as well. I see you, Sheila, and Maria Cheevers as well. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for being here. First, we will go to, let's start with the first docket, which is docket 0631. And Kathleen, I'm assuming you are testifying on that docket. You are muted.
Yes, I am. Hey, Andrea.
Yourself, and I'm having technical difficulties too. If you can introduce yourself for the record, and then docket, that'd be great.
Okay, so this is our annual training grant that we get from the State Fire Marshal's Office. The total is $1,750,000, and that covers all of our training efforts down at Moon Island. So it covers the instructors for the recruit class. It covers all of the overtime that's used when training is needed for the firefighters. And so this includes back to basics, the functional skills tests, when we were in the pandemic, we had all the training on how to protect themselves from exposure and how to also decontaminate. So a lot of training occurs on the island, and we give a great thanks to the state for supporting those efforts.
Okay, can you talk to the, I think there's echo. Kathleen, I might have to mute you while I talk.
I know, I can't hear you that well, but hang on, I'm going to turn off my air conditioner.
Okay.
For some reason, I think it tends to interfere. I don't know if that's any better. Does that seem better to you?
I think so. Perfect. Yes,
well,
it
now
is.
I can't hear you at all.
Okay.
Carrie,
can we mute Kathleen while I talk?
Yeah, why don't I do that?
Perfect. Is that better, Councilor Flynn? I see you. Okay, perfect. So Kathleen, if you could talk through, is this the first time we're getting this grant? Have we gotten this grant before? Has it gone up or down? That would be really helpful. And then maybe the number of firefighters that also this grant supports, that'd be great. And then I'll go to my colleagues.
Sure. So this is a grant we get every year. We've been getting it. I've been here for 7 years. I know that we've been getting it for at least 10, 15, maybe 20 years. We get it every year. This year was a little bit different in funding. We got $1,750,000, which was what we were allocated many years ago. But when Commissioner Finn was here, he increased it by $500,000. So it did go to 2.25. I think with the pandemic situation, I think things were kind of put on hold. So it didn't actually come to us until March of this year. Usually we get it in September or October, pretty much at the start of the fiscal year. And given our time frame and our training schedule, we have about 1,500 firefighters, but we really only get to about half every year just because of the training cycle, and we can't cover everybody. So everybody gets trained within 2 years. So you do half of the fire department the first year, the other half on the second year, and so we rotate through. But it is an ongoing grant that we're very grateful for because we don't have city funds to pay for this training.
Very helpful. Councilor, I'm not sure who's here first, Councilor Flynn or Councilor Sabador. I think it was Councilor Flynn. You have the floor. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Councilor Campbell, Chair Campbell, and thank you to the panelists that are on. I listened to Kathleen's explanation, and it was pretty clear to me. So I don't have any follow-up questions, Councilor Campbell.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Asabi George.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Kathleen, for being here with us this morning. I am curious, what is the training that gets covered specifically?
So we have a whole range of training. There's a calendar that goes out every week. We have driver training. We have what's called a functional skills test. That's basically you wear all of your bunker gear and you have to almost go through like an obstacle course. You have to go up a building, you have to go up a ladder, you have to go to the hydrant, you have to connect the hose. It all has to be done within 18 minutes. So that's a training that they do on a regular basis. But then there's ad hoc training. There's training for sexual harassment, for a safe workplace. There's training for officers training, because when you become a lieutenant, you're now responsible for firefighters. And so you need to understand how to manage them, how to discipline them. As you know, it's a paramilitary organization, so they have to follow orders. So we have what's called standard operating procedures. So everybody has to be trained on the standard operating procedures, whether that's how do you lock a hydrant, how do you unlock a hydrant, how do you raise a ladder, how do you go up a ladder, how do you traverse a roof, how do you use the bucket, how do you use the hose, how do you use the actual apparatus that's got all kinds of gauges and dials, how to use foam. They train on a number of things. They train on Narcan, how to administer Narcan. They train EMTs. All of our firefighters, for the most part, are EMTs, so they have to go through EMT training every other year. They have to have refresher courses. We also train on how to help in water rescues, how to help in hazmat and decontamination. We had specific training for COVID, so people knew, when you have to wear a mask, where you have to wear gloves, when you have to wear your SCBA. All of that is done on a regular basis, and we cycle through the various houses based on their schedules to go through the training academy down on Moon Island.
Excellent, thank you. I didn't realize actually this grant would cover all of that training, so fantastic. And so, and
Can we mute? I think we have to mute you, Kat. Perfect.
There we go. Thank you. I think I didn't realize, and with your remarks, there's no additional city funding for that training. That is all grant supported. So if we didn't receive the grant, we'd have to find room in the operational budget to fund this.
Yes, we don't. The only city funds that are made available are actually for the training instructors. So we have 7 full-time permanent instructors that the city does pay for. However, all of the training time So some of it's on overtime, some of it's for adjunct instructors. All of that is paid for by the training grant. And if we didn't have that, you're correct. We would have to take almost $1.8 million and add that to the operating budget on the city.
Great. Appreciate that. No further questions for me. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sabi George, and thank you, Kathleen. I'm going to move on to the next docket, which is docket 0473. And Sheila, I believe you're going to testify to this docket.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. If you could just state your name and title for the record and then give an overview summary, that would be great. Thank you.
Certainly. I am a project manager for the Boston Police Department. I've worked for the Boston Police Department for about 20 years. The purpose of this grant, Maria Cheevers and I have been working on this grant for several years, and we have finally gotten a grant from EOPS that would allow us to put our crash reports in electronic format and electronically submit those to the state through DCGIS. Currently, our police officers have to complete paper forms for crash reports, which are quite complicated. They're about 4 pages long and include a diagram. A lot of our reports that go into the state end up getting rejected for one reason or another. A lot of the times they're rejected because they don't have the police officer's signature on it or the diagram isn't sufficient. So we have partnered with Mark 43. They're our records management system. Officers can go into the records management system and complete a report electronically, an incident report. And this grant will allow us to train the officers and to procure a product from Mark 43 that will allow officers to use person information, vehicle information that's already in their incident report in order to complete the electronic crash report. At that point in time, it will go through the RMV certifications, making sure that that report would not be rejected. And it will flow from DCGIS into the RMV and the DOT. So that data would become available to both Boston Police Department and the state agencies that will use that data. The $330,000 of this grant will not cover the entire program. BPD will be covering about an additional 10% of that out of our operating budget. I know that Maria and I are often asked to gather details on crash reports for such things as road improvements, and we do not have the capability to gather that information. This grant will allow us to store that information electronically, access that information, and get it to the constituents of the city of Boston if need be.
Thank you, Sheila. Very helpful. Maria, did you want to add anything? Good morning.
Good morning, Maria Cheevers, Boston Police, Office of Research and Development. The only thing that I want to add is that trend analysis allows us to make city streets and roads safer. So oftentimes you need to work with architects and builders and construction within the city of Boston to figure out where the hotspot collisions take place. And those collisions take place in 3 categories: motor vehicle collisions, bike collisions, and pedestrian collisions. So if we can get this data in a way that would allow us to look at trends and hotspots, then that will allow us to plan better in terms of fixing certain rotaries and other areas that tend to be very dangerous for all 3 of those groups. So that's why it's been so important to us for so many years to be able to do this, because right now, not only are our incident reports / crash reports sort of a paper file, so as well, we're hoping in the future to do this with our citations and violations, because again, that's a paper file. So once we turn the tickets in, we don't have access to that data. So that's going to be something we tackle in a couple of years, but right now we're starting with just the crash report. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. This is very helpful. Councillor Flynn, I'll go to you.
Thank you, Chair Campbell, and thank you to Sheila, and thank you to my neighbor also, Maria. It's good to see both of you. So the information you provided was very helpful. It seems like it's a great electronic program in how to study crash sites or how we can improve pedestrian safety. It's probably the -- 1 issue I focus on most in my district is safe streets, pedestrian safety related issues. When there's an accident in my district, I try to speak to the captain and learn more about the accident and speak with the transportation department as well. So I guess my question either to Maria or Sheila. So I know this electronic system will help us study going forward potential sites that may not be safe. But what is the role of the City of Boston Transportation Department working closely with the Boston Police and maybe RMV in studying potential dangerous crash sites?
Well, I can speak to that. I know that the RMV and the DOT has been very frustrated over the lack of completed crash reports from Boston. And so they would also benefit from the system by having a complete packet of Boston Police information. I probably should have mentioned that police officers now could have to fill out 3 separate reports. And as Maria noted, 2 of those are currently paper. The incident report, a citation report, and a crash report. Both the citation and the crash report are unavailable to any government agencies for data analysis. And it puts a burden on the police officers to complete those 3 different forms without having that information available from one form to the other. So we would be correcting that on at least the crash reports. It would take less time for the officers to complete these reports, and the government agencies would have better access.
Thank you, Sheila, for that response. You know, when there's an accident, certainly our #1 priority is making sure that the person that was hit is okay and gets the medical treatment in the care. But right after that is making sure that the site itself, you know, is improved if it needs to be improved, but also that we're able to study a particular site in greater detail. So I think this system will kind of begin that process. So I just wanted to say thank you to Sheila and thank you to Maria and your team for this important work, because in my opinion, pedestrian safety is one of the top issues in Boston. So just want to acknowledge the great work both of you are doing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. And I just want to acknowledge we've been joined by Councillor Braden. Councillor Sabi George.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I actually don't have questions regarding this grant. Thank you. Nice to see you, Maria.
Thank you. Councillor Braden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry for my tardiness. I was on another meeting. I've no questions about this grant. I really feel it's important to get really good data and to understand our crashes and how they're caused. Maybe we'll be able to help prevent them in the future. So I support this grant, and thank you for your, thanks to all who are participating this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Braden. And thank you, Maria, and thank you, Sheila, of course, for showing up on our Zoom, but also for your work and hard work as well. So thank you both. Enjoy the long weekend. I don't think there's any more questions. I don't have any more. And so at this point, Ron, do we have anyone for public testimony?
We have a Chris Walsh in the attendees pool, and if he's interested in testifying, he could just raise his blue hand or the Zoom hand, and we can advance him if he's interested.
Okay. Chris, if you're interested in testifying, please raise your hand. And if not,
Chris Walsh is my lieutenant.
So never mind. Chris Walsh works for all of us. Chris, thank you for your service as well. Thank you, Sheila. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Chris, and have enjoy the long weekend. Thank you, Kathleen, as well. And Ron and Carrie, if there's nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the hearing. Do you guys have anything else? I don't think I saw anyone else for public testimony.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
The hearing is adjourned. Thank you. Enjoy the long weekend, everyone.